I'm Jenny Robertson, founder of the On Purpose Woman Global Community and founder and publisher of On Purpose Woman magazine. This is the speaker portion of our Connections Over Coffee gathering of the On Purpose Woman Global Community. Vicki Ibaugh is speaking on how to get your business running like clockwork. Vicki is the founder of Know You to Grow You Business Coaching and a certified Kolbe consultant. Vicki's favorite commodity is time, and she's committed to showing women entrepreneurs how to achieve more success in less time and with less stress so they can enjoy their life and business more. Vicki's website is knowyoutogrowyou.com, and that is in the notes of this video. So Vicki, thank you for being here and look forward to hearing what you have to say.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Jenny. And anybody who's ever met me knows I am a visual learner. And I like to make sure as a former instructional designer that I use all the forms of learning. So I'm going to share my screen here. And we are going to talk about getting your business running like clockwork today. And the way I like to explain that and share that is from these 2 points of view. And to ask you, are you running your business or is your business running you? And we all go through periods of time where our business runs us, where we're overscheduled, we're overwhelmed, we've taken on too much. We've said yes to too many things. However, I think most of us aspire to be this woman on the left, where we can kind of do our business from anywhere. We can set our own schedule. We can take time off, we could go on vacation, and we can have our business actually run and continue forward, even if we're not fully present in it all the time. Anybody want like that experience for their business? I know I almost shut my business down at one point because I was this woman on the right, and my business was eating me alive. I was doing too many things for too many people and working too many hours. And I kind of got one of those universal wake-up calls that makes you stop and reassess things. And so that's the journey I've been on for the last several years, which is what has led me to doing the work I do with clients. And so if you're feeling like this, where you're going in a billion different directions, you probably could benefit from doing some work to bring your business into alignment and to get it running like clockwork. So if you're ready to get rid of this, you're going to love the little tips that I have for you today, as well as I have a way for you to go deeper with this a little bit later. That is just, it's crazy good. So I'm going to save that for the end though. When we talk about running your business like clockwork, there's really 3 big buckets we look at. The first one of those is creating alignment, because guess what? If your business isn't aligned to you and how you want to run things, the other 2 don't matter. It doesn't do you any good to streamline it and optimize it if it's not really the business you want to be running in the first place. And so what we are going to look at today is really this align piece, because it's the foundational piece to getting your business running like clockwork, to getting things running smoothly. And so let me get this to move here. One of the things that we start with before I get into some of the different tools is to really stop and pause and ask ourselves, what is it I really want? Because sometimes we get so caught up in our business that we don't take a time to step back and say, what is it I really want? How do I want my business to feel? What days do I want to work? How many hours do I want to work? And to really give ourselves permission to decide what it is we really want our business to do for us. Because your business is here to serve you. You are not here to serve your business. You created this business because you wanted time freedom, money freedom, most likely some level of freedom, as well as it's your passion and purpose at some level. And sometimes we lose sight of those things and we start assembling something that becomes a machine that we are then in service to, instead of having it be what fulfills us and bringing us joy. If you're waking up in the day, at the beginning of your day and going, oh my gosh, I gotta run my business today, we need to clockwork your business. We need to get things back into alignment. So We're going to look at, yeah, I said in my thing 3. Jenny mentioned earlier, I like to over deliver. I do love to over deliver. I'm actually going to talk about 4 key areas that will help bring your business into alignment. One of those is natural work style. The other one is to differentiate between your crush clients and your cringe clients. The third one is to really be clear on your big promise. And then the last one we're going to talk about today is your queen bee role. And I will explain that because it's probably a term you've never heard before. So let's start with looking at your natural doing style. So I am certified in a particular tool that measures a part of your mind that you've probably never had measured before. So you've probably had the thinking part of your mind. You've gone and gotten education, you have skills, you have experience, you have all of those things. There's the feeling part of your mind. You've probably taken some personality assessments. You've probably done value assessments, and you understand your motivations and your preferences and your values. The piece you probably have never had assessed is your doing style, because there's only one tool that is validated to measure this. And that area of your brain is called the cognitive. And it's the natural way you problem solve. You've been wired the same since you were a small child. And when you see how you're wired, you go, oh yeah, that's exactly how I used to do things when I was free to be me. Before I had a boss or a teacher who told me, here's how you need to do things. Anybody ever get told, here's how you need to do it, and it felt awful? It felt horrible? In fact, let's do a quick exercise to illustrate this. Whatever your dominant hand is, I want you to just very quickly print your name. And you're probably doing this without really much effort or thinking. It probably looks like it always does. Like some of us have neater handwriting than others. Now I want you to take the pen, switch it to the other hand, and I want you to write your name. My guess is that took way more focus, way more energy. The outcome was not as good. And if I told you you had to do that the rest of the day, you'd be like, no way, not doing it. You're crazy. That's what it's like when you're operating against your natural doing style. Whenever you're doing something and it feels very unnatural and uncomfortable and it's just not working out, it's probably because you're not wired that way. And so I'm going to share an example, and this is just 2 snippets out of like an 18-page report that measures your natural doing style. So there's 2 different reports here. There's mine and there's Sherry Martin's, because a lot of you know Sherry. Sherry and I are both wired very differently, and we run our businesses very differently intentionally because we know we're wired differently. And so the way that the Kolbe report works, which is what this is the assessment that measures your doing style, is it looks at 4 modes. It looks at how do you gather information, how do you organize, how do you handle risk and uncertainty, and how do you handle tools. So mine, if I look at my numbers, I'm the top one. I'm a 5572. And what that means is one of my greatest strengths is I innovate. When I am faced with a problem, I start the process by brainstorming. Then I'll go review the data, then I'll fit it into a system, and then I'll visualize the solutions because I don't use tools. I hire people to use tools, but I don't use tools. So that's how I'm wired to work. And the reason why I almost quit my business was because the way I was being told I had to structure my business did not honor this at all. In fact, the way that I was told to run my business looked like how Sherry is naturally wired. And the way Sherry is wired, when she is faced with a problem, the first thing she does is she goes and researches it. She goes and gathers data. And then she looks for ways to fit it into a system. Then she actually, if it's going to involve something physical, she's going to take a look at those physical materials and make sure they're good enough. And where Sherry and I differ the most is in how we handle risk and uncertainty. Sherry loves to keep things the same. She doesn't like a lot of change and disruption. I will change things just for the sake of changing them. We're wired very differently. And why Sherry and I get along really well in our coaching relationship is because I understand how she's wired. And so if I suggest doing something different, I do it from the place of these are all the things that are going to stay the same. And this is what's going to change and be different. And so I'm very careful in how I use my strengths when I'm working with other people. Now, here's the interesting thing. Only 5% of the world is wired like you, which means 95% of the people who are telling you how to do something aren't wired like you. And following their path will make you miserable. It will make it feel like you're writing with your left hand. And so I am actually at the very end, I'm going to give you a way to get access to this assessment, as well as to do a deeper dive on what your score says and how you can use it for your business. And so I'll share how to do that at the end. But this can become a really good tool for making some realignments in your business so that you have more flow. Because when you operate within your strengths, you have more flow. So let's talk about this crush cringe thing. Can everybody relate to that picture on the right of the person when the phone rings or you see the email and you're like, oh, yeah, oh, no. Well, when you're working with clients who make you cringe, they are robbing you of energy. In fact, let's look at this a little closer. Your crush clients bring you energy. They like fire you up. Why? Because they're aligned to you and what you offer and how you offer it. And so one of the techniques to use is to really think about those clients you love working with and what are the characteristics about them? Is it because they're action takers? Maybe they always show up on time. Maybe they ask great questions. Only you can decide what makes a crush client for you, somebody who you love working with. And when you can have more of those, your business runs smoother because you don't have a lot of these clients who drain your energy. They often pull you off of alignment. They often want you to do things that you don't even do in your business, but they want you to do them. Maybe they want you to meet in the evenings. Maybe they want to text you in the middle of the night and expect you to text them back. Maybe they just want things done a way that doesn't align with you. This goes back to understanding your wiring and how you do work. Because if they're wired dramatically differently than you, they're probably going to end up being a cringe client for you. And when you really are clear on what makes somebody a cringe client, you begin to develop this filter to filter them out and to not ever say yes to them again. Because for somebody else, this is their crush client. You're just not meant to serve them. They're meant to be served by somebody else. So whenever somebody makes you cringe, figure out why, and then figure out how to filter that out so that you don't continue to work with people who make you cringe. Now, the next piece is to get clear on your big promise. Now, we just introduced ourselves in our networking part of the meeting, and everybody I met in my group was really clear on the problem they solved. And that really becomes your big promise. That's your big promise. That is what people can expect from you when they work with you. And when that is really, really clear, because sometimes it's not, but the clearer you get on that, the easier it is to really have more flow in your business because your marketing is clear. Your products will be clear. How you serve people will be super clear because a lot of us are multi-passionate. We have a lot of things we can do, but there's that one thing that people know you for that you're great at. So rather than being like all things to all people and trying to fulfill on too many promises, how much better would it be to have like one key promise where you know that's delivering results, that you every single time can pretty much guarantee you can get those results because you're focused on a singular promise. So like when I think about Ginny and the On Purpose Women community, her biggest promise that I think she fulfills really well is to give women a spotlight and a safe place to shine. Consistently, that flows across all the different things she does. Because every time I've ever shown up in any of the things she does, that's what I can expect. I feel safe, and I feel like I can shine and I can support other people in shining. So that's an example of a big promise. Here's some others just to help you out. FedEx, on-time package delivery. If you're old enough, when it positively absolutely has to be there overnight was their tagline. That's their big promise. Disneyland, the happiest place on earth. And just to show you that two businesses can have different promises, we could have Deli 1 who promises the fastest sandwiches, Deli 2 that promises the freshest sandwiches. Now, Mike Mikowowicz, and a lot of this content comes from my certification through him, which comes from his book, Clockwork. And his big promise is to simplify entrepreneurship. Now, we're both essentially business coaches. My big promise is to help business owners to create aligned and streamlined businesses they love. We have slightly different promises, but we're in the same type of industry. Now, we're going to get to this last piece here, which was the queen bee role. Now, in your business, you probably have one key action that fulfills that big promise. Now, you may do a number of things, but you have one key thing that makes sure that you can get those results. And that is called your queen bee role. And the reason why is it comes from bees. If you think about a bee colony, the most important role that ensures the survival of that hive is the laying of eggs, which is done by a single queen bee. If the queen bee does not lay eggs, none of the rest of it matters. They can't survive. She must be laying eggs. It is the most important role in a bee colony. Now, there's worker bees, and there's drone bees, and there's nurse bees, and there's bees that their whole job is to maintain the temperature of the hive. There's a lot of bees. And all of those other bees, guess what they're doing? They're making sure the queen can focus on laying the eggs. They're ensuring that this most important role can get done. And you have a queen bee role in your company. And that is the most important thing. And the way you find it, it's so simple. It's 6 Post-it notes. And you write down the 6 things that you do. So just to give you an example, I coach, I teach, I speak, I create courses, I do marketing, and unfortunately, I sometimes have to do some administrative stuff. Now, if I went through my 6 Post-its and just started eliminating those until I got to the actions that I'm like, these are the most important things. If I were to quit doing these, I couldn't deliver on my promise of helping people create aligned and streamlined businesses. And I can ultimately get it down to 1. And the one that I narrowed it down to is actually providing very personalized one-on-one coaching. If I were to eliminate that from my business, I don't think I could fulfill my promise. Now, you could have somebody who has the same big promise as you, but you might actually get there in a different way. You might have a different key action, a different queen bee role. So let's look at some examples of the queen bee role based on those big promises we saw earlier. So for FedEx, their most important role is logistics. Yeah, they're going to provide customer service. Yeah, they're going to do other things, but the most important role is logistics. Without that, there's not going to be on-time package delivery. Disneyland, if they don't have great guest experience, it is definitely not going to be the happiest place on earth. The deli that does the fastest sandwiches, their queen bee role is going to be a way to make them as efficiently as possible, versus the deli with the freshest sandwiches. Their queen bee role is really sourcing and using those freshest ingredients. And I mentioned Mike and I are kind of in the same industry. His queen bee role is to write books. Mine is personalized coaching. We both are helping entrepreneurs, but we approach it from 2 different queen bee roles. Because you can only have one most important thing you do in your business. And when you know what that most important thing is, that's the thing you make sure gets on your schedule. It's the thing that you pour your time and energy into. And it needs to be the thing that you're wired to do. It needs to be something you love doing and that you're good at doing, and that you're naturally wired to doing. So all these things start to work together so that when you're looking at alignment, and yes, there's lots of things that go into alignment. Like I have a whole morning routine that brings me into physical and mental and spiritual alignment. But these are business things that help you to look at, am I running my business in alignment? Am I honoring my natural work style? Am I setting myself up to work with only clients I love working with? Am I clear on what results I offer and not trying to spread myself too thin? And am I clear on the one action that is most important for me to do to get those results? Now, this was a lot. We scratched the surface. This is by no means are you walking away from this with like the complete picture of how to get your business running like clockwork. But this gives you a starting place to start to see what are some of the components that go into doing that. And I promised you a way to get your assessment. And I actually decided I not only want you to get your assessment, I want you to get a chance to really dive into that assessment and to look at that and to get really clear on what does this mean, as well as to dive into those other three components of alignment. So normally that assessment is $55. If you go out to the Kolbe website, it's $55. In fact, if you go to my website and go to Kolbe, it's $55. I normally do my workshops for $97 to $197. But on May 17th from 10 to 4, I'm going to do it and you get both things for $47. Because May is Kolbe Strengths Month. We want people to know and use their strengths. And so this is my way of getting that out to more people, is by offering it at this ridiculously low price. My clients will tell you I use the Kolbe for every one of my clients, and we do this clockworking alignment piece because it's important for me to have my clients running their business in a way that is aligned to them uniquely, not how I would do it, how they want to do it, and to really understand their strengths and what it is they want to be doing. Because when you build your alignment, you are now setting yourself up for success. And so you can run your business like clockwork. So I'm going to drop that link in the chat to make it super easy for you. And I'm going to turn things over to Jenny so she can close us out. And then I will hang out in the networking group to answer any questions you might have. So thank you so much, Jenny. I have so appreciated being able to be here today and to share a little bit about the work I do with clients and to share that with all of you in hopes that this helps you to run your business in a way that feels more fun, joyful, and efficient.
Thank you, Vicki. And yeah, I'll stop the screen sharing so we can see you front and
There we
center
go.
again.
There's my mouse.
And I want everyone here to unmute yourselves and let's give Vicki a round of applause and some yays and some, wasn't this information valuable? Oh my gosh, I am so in. I have a big whole white space on my calendar on May 17th, and I'm filling it up with you, Vicki, because I really need this so much. So yay, Vicki, thank you so much. Thank you so much.
That was wonderful. Yay!
Yay, great job, as always.
And thank you to anyone who's watching this either live in the On Purpose Woman Global Community Facebook group or the replay on YouTube. If you want to join us for one of our Zoom gatherings, you can go to my website, opwgc.com, where you can find out all about our community and the magazine. And again, Vicki's website is knowyoutogrowyou.com, and that is also in the text of this video. Check out, I'll make sure I put the information Vicki is talking about also in the text of this video so that you will see it and you'll be able to, or Vicki, is it just for the people here today or is it for?
I'm opening it up to, I really want to keep it to women because you know what, we create a special community with women.
Right.
But yeah, you can open this up to other people who you think might be interested in it also.
Okay. Thank you so much, Vicki. And thanks for watching, y'all.
Thank you.